It's February and it's time for my second annual Salute to African American History Month. February is a short month, but short or not, I am going to recognize the accomplishment of four African Americans in history. I hope you enjoy this installment and learn something along the way. So let's go. Born to slave parents in 1838 in Crawford County, Arkansas, Bass Reeves would become the first black U.S. Deputy Marshal west of the Mississippi River and one of the greatest frontier heroes in our nation's history. Owned by a man named William Reeves, a farmer and politician, Bass took the surname of his owner, like other slaves at the time. His first name came from his grandfather, Bass Washington. Working alongside his parents, Reeves started out as a water boy until he was old enough to become a field hand. In about 1846, William Reeves moved his operations, family, and slaves to Grayson County, Texas. Freed by the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 and no longer a fugitive, Reeves left Indian Territory and bought land near Van Buren, Arkansas, where he became a successful farmer and rancher. A year later, he married Nellie Jenny from Texas and immediately began to have a family. Raising 10 children on their homestead, 5 girls and 5 boys, the family lived happily on the farm. During this time, oral history states that Reeves sometimes served as a scout and guide for the U.S. Deputy Marshals going into Indian Territory on business for the Van Buren Federal Court, which had jurisdiction over Indian Territory. Reeves' life as a contented farmer would change when the Federal Western District Court was moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Isaac Parker was appointed on May 10, 1875. At that time, the Indian Territory had become extremely lawless as thieves, murderers, and anyone else wishing to hide from the law took refuge in the territory that previously had no federal or state jurisdiction. One of Parker's first official acts was to appoint U.S. Marshal James Fagan as head of 200 deputies he was then told to hire. Fagan heard of Bass Reeves' significant knowledge of the area, as well as his ability to speak several tribal languages, and soon recruited him as a U.S. deputy. The deputies were tasked with cleaning up Indian Territory and, on Judge Parker's order, bring them in alive or dead. Working among other lawmen that would also become legendary, Reeves began to ride the Oklahoma Range in search of outlaws. Covering some 75,000 square miles, the United States Court at Fort Smith was the largest in the nation. Though Reeves could not read or write, it did not curb his effectiveness in bringing back the criminals. Before he headed out, he would have someone read him the warrants and memorize the contents and which warrant was which. When asked to produce the warrant, he never failed to pick out the correct one. An imposing figure, always riding on a large white stallion, Reeves began to earn a reputation for his courage and success at bringing in or killing many desperados of the territory. Always wearing a large hat, Reeves was usually a spiffy dresser, with his boots polished to a gleaming shine. He was known for his politeness and courteous manner. However, when the purpose served him, he was a master of disguises and often utilized aliases. Though the tales of Reeves' heroics are many and varied, the toughest manhunt for the lawman was that of hunting down his own son in 1902. After having delivered 2 prisoners to U.S. Marshal Leo Bennett, he arrived to bad news. His own son Benny had been charged with murder after having killed his wife in a fit of jealousy. Though the warrant had been lying on Bennett's desk for 2 days, the other deputies were reluctant to take it, and though Reeves was shaken, he demanded to accept the responsibility for finding his son. 2 weeks later, Reeves returned to Muskogee with his son in tow and turned him over to Marshal Bennett. His son was tried, convicted to life in prison, and sent to Kansas's Leavenworth Penitentiary. Later, with a citizen's petition and an exemplary prison record, Benny Reeves was pardoned and lived the rest of his life as a model citizen. In 1907, law enforcement was assumed by state agencies, and Reeves' duties as deputy marshal came to an end. Next, Bass took a job as a patrolman with the Muskogee, Oklahoma Police Department. During the 2 years that he served in this capacity, there were reportedly no crimes on his beat. Reeves is diagnosed with Bright's disease, finally ended his career when he took to his sickbed in 1909. He died on January 12, 1910, and he was buried in Union Agency Cemetery at Muskogee, Oklahoma, but the exact location of his grave is unknown. Over the 35 years that Bass Reeves served as Deputy United States Marshal, he earned his place in history by being one of the most effective lawmen in Indian Territory, bringing in more than 3,000 outlaws and helping to tame the lawless territory. Killing some 14 men during his service, Reeves always said that he never shot a man when it was not necessary for him to do so in the discharge of his duty to save his own life. Many argue, including Bill O'Reilly's Legend and Lies 2015 series, there is evidence that Bass Reeves was the basis of the now classic radio and later television series, The Lone Ranger. With several key similarities between the character and the real legend, however, that claim is debated by others, but we tend to think that he really was the Lone Ranger. Thanks for watching my tribute to African Americans in history. The areas I've obtained the information is listed below. If you enjoy my content, please hit that like button and subscribe so you will know when I have some new content coming out. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you're watching this. Be safe out there, wear your mask, social distance, and all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.